What are soft skills or people skills, and why are they so important? In this video, I will talk about these people skills and why they are so important for young people in Japan to acquire, and how my experience as an advisor and facilitator on the Ship for World Youth allowed me to understand what young people, especially Japanese, need and why these skills are so important. Hi, I'm Mike Matsuno. Last January, I was a facilitator on the Ship for World Youth program known as SWAI, SWI. SWAI is a Japanese government-sponsored global leadership program that has been running for the past 32 years. I facilitated a course discussion on global citizenship. During the course, I emphasized the importance of people skills, also known to some as soft skills, others known as human skills, and many times it's paired with emotional skills. These people skills are essential if you want to be a global citizen or a global leader. People skills or soft skills are the opposite of hard skills. Hard skills are skills that are quantitative. They can usually be measured, such as test scores, English IELTS or TOEFL scores, GPA, university degrees, some kind of certification, some computer skills. People skills are usually not as obvious or noticed very much because you cannot really measure them. There are many types of these people skills, such as critical thinking, assertiveness, leadership, and flexibility. In many ways, these people skills are as or more important than hard skills. You do need a minimum level of hard skills, but if you have good people skills, you will have many friends and be very, very successful in your job and in your life. What is many times lacking in Japanese education, primarily at the university level, are the teaching and training opportunities for Japanese young people to acquire these people skills. But to be clear, Japanese do have some of these people skills such as time management, empathy within Japan, and team building. However, I believe that many Japanese lack certain people skills such as critical thinking, quick decision making, problem solving, assertiveness, leadership, being positive, which are necessary for strong leadership, entrepreneurship, and better organization efficiency and effectiveness. Japanese society and the Japanese people have a lot of good things going for it. The Japanese tend to be very diligent, have a good work ethic, are punctual, honest, empathetic, and show a lot of concern for others in the group. These qualities and skills are essential for a safe and strong society. Thus, Japan should continue to value and perpetuate these qualities and skills. But in addition, they also need to acquire other soft skills that are critical for Japan to compete and survive in the 21st century. I have lived in Japan for a total of 25 years and have taught Japanese university students for many, many years. I've also been on the Ship for World Youth Global Leaders Program 3 different times as an advisor and a facilitator. On SWAI, there are 120 young Japanese participants from the ages of 18 through 30 and another 120 young participants from 10 different countries, 12 overseas participants per country for a total of 240 participants from 11 countries on the program. For me as an educator, the SWAI program was the best living laboratory to observe different cultures mix in an undisruptive and contained environment because the SWAI program takes place on a moving, sailing ship, the Nippon Maru, which sails to different destinations in the Pacific, and all along the way to and from Japan, the 240 young people are studying, experiencing, and learning from one another. The participants share cabins, eat all their meals together, study, play, and constantly interact with one another for 30 days. It is the ultimate experiential learning program that I have ever seen. And a big game changer is there is no internet on board the ship. 4 years ago, when I was an advisor on SWAI-28, I watched and learned about the struggle of the Japanese participants when interacting with the other 120 overseas participants. What I observed was that the Japanese participants are very and extremely motivated and passionate and really wanted to interact and be part of the SWAI community. But there were certain challenges or obstacles that created unseen barriers which at times hindered many Japanese participants from being fully successful on the program. The one main struggle was English language ability. Many of the Japanese participants struggled with communicative living English. It is well known that Japanese usually have a strong English grammar base and have studied English as an academic subject for a minimum of 6 years from grades 7 to 12. And many on the ship had even more years of English studies at the university. Some had even participated on study abroad and exchange programs. And so there were some Japanese participants who did fine, but there were also just as many who struggled and felt frustrated that they could not actively participate in open discussion in English with other non-Japanese participants. English was the most obvious wall, but the other challenges that were at first unseen were the lack of certain people skills like intercultural communication, critical thinking, leadership, presentation skills, assertiveness. These types of people skills and leadership skills were important to successfully interact with the other international participants, and thus many Japanese struggled on the ship when it came to group leadership and organization, making quick and logical decisions, expressing one's opinion clearly, running committee meetings, and so on. And so after SWAI 28, I wrote a book called Why Study Abroad in the USA. And although the title is related to study abroad in the USA, which is different from SWAI, most of the content that I wrote in the book was from SWAI 28 and for future SWAI Japanese participants, because the needs and the challenges of SWAI and for long-term study abroad were basically the same. 25% of the book's content was about why Japanese should go and study in the US or other Western English-speaking countries. For example, the UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. But the majority of the book was about people skills and what they needed to do to prepare for study abroad. I wrote this book with the hope that more Japanese would be better prepared for SWAI or for their study abroad or exchange programs overseas. After I finished writing the book 3 years ago, I suggested to the Japanese Cabinet Office to use this book in the Japanese participant orientation of SWAI that the 120 Japanese all partake in 4 months before SWAI takes place in January, but I never heard back from them. At the time, I was also working for California State University, Monterey Bay as their international consultant and recruiter in Asia, and I would regularly visit 10 countries within Asia, and what I noticed was that the soft skill sets that the Japanese needed on the ship were basically the same that many university students from the countries in Asia like China, Korea, and Taiwan also needed. I also realized that many of these skills that the Japanese and other Asian students did not have were actually taught throughout the Western education systems, K through 12. So most Western young people have, or at least have been exposed to many of these people skills. Things such as spontaneity, improvisation, quick decision making, leadership, independent thinking, risk taking. They were all learned throughout a Western education from a very young age in the US and other Western countries. To be honest, I did not sell many books, and of course it was in English, and so most Japanese were not going to try and read a book in English. So 2 years ago, I had it translated into Japanese, but I could only get it uploaded to the Kindle format. It is called Mirai o Kaeru Ryugaku. After I uploaded it, I first told many Japanese university professors and university international office staff that I knew about the book, hoping that they would encourage their students who were going on study abroad and exchange to read the book. I also thought that maybe it could also be used for university courses and seminars that are specifically for study abroad students. And lastly, I thought it would be good for anyone who is curious about people skills. But that also did not work out, and the Japanese Kindle version did not sell very well. And so while staying at home during this coronavirus period in Kyotanabe, Kyoto, I started to upload the matching sections of the English and Japanese books onto LinkedIn, where people could freely view and read the articles if they chose to. The goal of the book was always to get the information about people skills and study abroad out to anyone interested. So even if the book did not sell, I wanted to ensure that the information was shared while it was still relevant. So if you are interested in such information about people skills, please go to LinkedIn, where I am presently uploading short sections of the study abroad book, mainly regarding soft skills, 3 times a week in English and in Japanese. And if you read the articles and one day decide that you want the information in one intact book or ebook, the book's link is below for the English print and Kindle version and the Japanese Kindle version. I know that because of the coronavirus pandemic, study abroad and exchange programs will be just very quiet for the possibly 2 to 3 years. But if you look at the positive side, that is why once the pandemic is under control and they have a cure or a vaccine, that it would be the best time to apply for the study abroad or exchange programs, because at the start there won't be much competition and many more opportunities to go where you want to go. I also strongly recommend that if you are Japanese and between the ages of 18 to 30 and have not participated in SWAI yet, that you apply for the Ship for World Youth program. But I will say that I believe it is 10 times better if you go on a 1 to 2 semester study abroad or exchange program first, then apply for SWAI. The reason is that the people skills, confidence, and English language ability that you will acquire on a long-term study abroad program will give you the opportunity to truly maximize and apply your leadership and people skills on the ship with the other 239 people. And the actual experience, satisfaction, and self-development will be so much more fulfilling than someone with no previous long-term overseas experience. Study abroad programs like SWAI are life-changing. This is not only because you will make lifetime friends and share amazing experiences, but you will also acquire many of the needed people skills that will help you reach your true potential, and that Japan as a country will really value and need in the very near future. They just have not realized it yet. So if you can acquire the necessary people skills, keep the best qualities, values, and skills that Japan has and does so well, you will be in the ideal position of the perfect global hybrid, or as the Japanese proverb says, Oni ni kanabo. Oni is the devil, goblin, or demon in Japanese folklore, who is already super powerful. Kanabo means the feudal spike club weapon. The proverb translates to the idea that a devil, goblin, or demon who is already strong alone, but in addition is given a dangerous weapon, is invincible. The proverb means something that is very positive for an individual. Learn and acquire people skills. Adventure out on study abroad, exchange, and programs like the Ship for World Youth. Live the dream that so many can only imagine about. It is all up to you. You decide your life and whether or not you want to reach your full potential. Ichigo, Ichie.